What up, Tube? Let's talk a little bit about this idiot, this Buffalo shooting dude, Buffalo, New York shooter. But more importantly, you notice how the liberal left, they're going out of their way to feed. Um, yeah, the dude is a racist piece of shit. True enough, sure enough. But this is the perfect scenario for them to just milk them and the mainstream media to just milk this incident until it's dry. It's just like perfect for them. They're not as sorry that this has happened as they're trying to lead people on to believe. The president shares stories of the victims of the racist massacre in a predominantly black neighborhood in Buffalo and repeatedly denounced the shooting as terrorism. Oh, he's going right, especially with the midterms and stuff coming up. Oh, they're gonna definitely ride this all the way to the polls. It's the perfect scenario for them. You just look at how they operate and how they move. They're not looking for solutions. They're looking for what hardships and problems that are going to pull on the heartstrings of the black community that we can exploit and use when it's time to make political gains and get votes to sway in our direction. What can we do, or what can we help along? I'm under the belief, I can't prove it, but I'm under the belief, personally speaking, that if government officials, and most of whom I'm talking about are the ones that are left leaning, like far, far left leaning, if they knew about this guy and what his intentions were and where he might strike and do this shooting or whatever, I'm actually wondering if they would even attempt to stop this guy. Or would they sit back and allow it to happen so they can use this as the main source, as the battery pack put in people's back to where they'll be like, oh my goodness, this is so horrible. Oh, it's white supremacy, this white. Because that's the Democrats' whole thing. White, they need white supremacy. They need racist white people to help ride them back into their current offices because they know they're on their way out. They're on their last leg. So this is like the perfect situation for them. And I'm going to leave the link to this article in the description box down below. This is an opportunist. I'm not saying it's, no, I'm not, I'm saying, one of those people that's going to be like, oh, this is a false flag, it's this, and, I'm not going that far to say that. But I will say it's kind of peculiar how Democrats operate. And it just leads me to wonder if they knew in advance through intelligence, would they even try to stop the guy? Along with the mainstream media, when they can obviously use this as a tool to keep pumping fear into the average Americans who seem like they're allergic to the internet, allergic to getting news. They only believe what the dummy box tells them to believe and how to feel. This is what Biden says. Biden calls on Americans to reject the lie as he condemns racist rhetoric after the Buffalo massacre. Called on Tuesday for Americans to take on the haters, more placating to the black community by using our lingo and slang terminology. See, they're desperate right now. The Democratic Party is very, very desperate for the black vote. They need the black vote to stay afloat. It's another reason why they're so lax with the immigration policies, because they figure they can just pencil them in on the Democratic side. Like their votes, they could even, some of these people might not even be able to speak proper English, but because they were getting all these favors and these handouts, they can pencil them in on the Democratic side. And they really fast forward in that because they know a lot of black men are leaning to the right. A lot of black men are conservative for the most part. So the liberals, the Democrats, they're in panic mode right now. They're trying to hit that reset button, but it's not working the way they intended. So this is what this dude is talking about. Take on the haters and reject the lie of racial replacement that reportedly animated a white man to gun down black shoppers on Saturday in the latest eruption of violence targeting people of color in the United States. What happened here is simple and straightforward. Terrorism, domestic terrorism. See, you can see the slant. They're gonna make sure they throw that word at you repeatedly over and over, so it's embedded in your brain. Terrorism. When you think of terrorism, your initial reaction and feeling is fear. They use that fear as a way to steer you into a certain demographic of votership in their favor. And a lot of these mainstream media, these tech giants, these companies are in bed with the Democrats. It's no way around it. Now, I'm not saying this is a false flag or anything like that. It happened. It's quite real, and it's quite sad and pathetic that this asshole was able to get away with this shit. And he's gonna get what's coming to him once he goes to prison. But on the flip side of that, it's just something, my spidey senses get to tingling, and it's just, personally, my personal opinion is the way they're piling onto this story, it just leans towards a distraction. What are they distracting us from? And once again, I'm gonna leave a link to this article in the description box down below. But just keep that question in mind. What might they want to distract us from? Now, here's another story that, in my personal opinion, I could be wrong, because when it comes to news, I don't listen to the dummy box. So maybe they are talking about it a lot. I don't know. But this is about the, what do you call this? The Laguna Woods church shooting. This apparently happened in Las Vegas. Okay. By this Asian dude. Now, they're so quick to say stop the Asian hate, and when it comes to the Asian hate, it's usually black people perpetrating the hate towards Asians. That's really not true at all, but that's the image and that's the story that the mainstream media wants to project out there. Well, in this case, this seems like it's not getting that much burn as the Buffalo shooter. I'm going to leave a link to this story also in the description box down below. This is from the Los Angeles Times. Las Vegas. Months before police say he opened fire inside a Laguna Woods church, killing a parishioner and wounding 5 others in what authorities have called a politically motivated attack. David Wenhui Chow's life in Las Vegas was unraveling. Okay, his wife had returned to Taiwan in December to seek treatment for cancer, but also to leave Chow in the midst of a divorce, according to their next door neighbor, Belmore or Alana. I don't know how to pronounce that. Yeah. Okay. Chow and his wife owned the building they lived in, one of about a dozen shabby stucco fourplexes that line a cul-de-sac about a mile west of the Las Vegas Strip. They lived in a unit on the ground floor, Orellana said. Crazy last name. I'm not crazy, but it's kind of hard to pronounce. Getting tongue-tied on that one. But so the guy apparently he's having marital problems and marriage issues, so he's sensitive about that, I guess. Okay, so what? I'm just reading this for the first time, y'all. So we going through this together. He described Chow as a considerate landlord. He never raised the rent in 5 years that Orellana and his family lived there. And when the COVID-19 pandemic swept into Las Vegas, Chow often asked if they needed a break with the rent. He tended a small garden on the side of the building, and he'd regularly bring fruit, vegetables, and cookies for Orlando's family. Okay, seems like a cool dude. But he was verbally aggressive toward his wife, Orellana said, and he'd hear Chow yelling through the walls. By the time she left for Taiwan, diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, you could tell she was just tired of him. With her gone, he took it pretty hard, Orellana said. Orange County Sheriff's officials said Chow's wife is living in Taiwan. Records of their divorce weren't immediately available. Chow told Orellana he was born in Taiwan but considered himself Chinese. He believed China and Taiwan were one country, Orellana said. To him, there is no border, he added. At 10 a.m. on Sunday, Chow showed up to an Irvin Taiwanese Presbyterian Church service in Laguna Woods, police say. After reading a Chinese language newspaper in the back of the church for several hours, he chained its doors shut and tried to jam the locks with glue, then opened fire with a handgun, according to authorities and an account by churchgoers. Chow killed Dr. John Ching, 52, who had tried to stop him, and wounded 5 others before the pastor and several congregants managed to subdue him and hogtie him with an extension cord, authorities say. Inside the church, investigators found 2 handguns purchased legally in Nevada and several improvised incendiary devices. So, when they say incendiary devices, that, I don't know, that sounds like explosives to me. So this guy just basically just snapped and lost his mind. So I don't know if it was his wife having cancer or the fact that she was talking about leaving him and she went back to Taiwan. I mean, don't really know what sent him over the edge. But this dude literally snapped. Like, yo. Now you compare this story to the other story, the Buffalo shooter. I don't see this getting that much burn in rotation as far as mainstream media is concerned. And you just wonder why they leave out stories like this and why they choose to just pile on the Buffalo shooter guy, because as soon as they found out that he said some racist things and he has you know, I guess visited some racist sites and stuff like that. Oh, they all in on that, and then they just totally ignore stories like this because it doesn't do anything for their slant, the slant that they're trying to put on, as far as leaning public opinion one way or the other. That's why you gotta watch when you dealing with mainstream media and all their tactics when giving you the news, because you gotta have an objective mind because you don't know what they're trying to. What's the ulterior motive? Why are they pushing a certain narrative? Why are they trying to get people to lean in certain directions? And it's always in an election year, whether it's a primary or the governmental, like for presidency. Anytime during an election cycle, these things, you know, in some cases they might have pushed certain agendas and certain things to happen. And when I say push, I mean they might know, they might have certain information that will enable them to stop certain things from happening, but they choose to not stop certain things from happening, if that makes any sense. Because the outcome and the stories that they can push after that helps push along their agenda further. That's why you have a lot of problems going on in election cycles, like stories like these that you don't really hardly hear anything about. But the Buffalo shooter is all over the TV, like ever since it happened, and all the information regarding him being racist and all that, it's like, oh, it's just perfect for them. So you just gotta watch. You just gotta pay attention to how they try to spoon feed you a lot of nonsense. And once again, this is, in my opinion, seems like a big distraction. What are they trying to distract us from? I mean, what could it possibly be? And as I'm looking over things, I come across this story. What is this story, Red Blizzard? Well, I'm glad you guys asked. Tube, you guys ask great questions. UFO hearing. Pentagon shows declassified photos and video clip of unexplainable floating object. Well, if you were going to distract the public and masses from something, in my opinion, it could be something like this. So I'm going to leave this link in the description box down below also. The Pentagon Tuesday showcased declassified photos and video of UFOs to Congress, including a flying object without a specific explanation, as lawmakers pressed military officials on the mysterious sightings. In one brief, the shaky video, a small object appeared to zip past a military pilot. In a separate video and a similar photo taken at a different time, glowing triangles are seen in the night sky. The visuals were shown during testimony from Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence Scott Bray and Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security Ronald Moultrie. Congress holds historic public UFO hearing as military struggles to understand mystery flying phenomena. So they want to change the verbiage and the wording of it, which is another tactic they like to use. So something else to, I guess, in their mind and in their thought process to keep the masses from panicking. So instead of calling it a UFO like it is, we'll call it something else. We'll call it area phenomenon. This is the brain squeeze they try to put everybody in to get you to program you to think a certain way. You got to watch that. I'm going to leave all these links in the description box down below. You guys can read up on it and let me know what you think. You can even check it out check out this article. If you're busy doing something, they have a way to, saying you can. They got an audio that'll read the article out for you, so it's good on Fox. I like that. But yeah, you gotta watch these motives. You never know. You know what I'm saying? What people are trying to do, especially in this election cycle. You get so many crazy things that just being, you know, it just make you ask the question: why do they want me to pay so much attention to this right here? What are they trying to distract me from? But yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. You take it how you want to take it, but you just make sure don't choke on woke. It's bad for you. And with that being said, if you like my content, support it. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos that I drop. And hit up the Cash App. Show support for the channel. Cobra Clutch 357. And with that being said, I'm out.